Hey guys, TAIMADOU. Welcome to another video. Please welcome our returning guest, Mr. S.
What's up, guys? You
may have remembered him from our summer top recommendations and the fall preview. He's back for a recap of the fall season. Okay, so overall, what did you think of the fall season?
Oh, generally everything that we had set out to see met at least my expectations on what I was, I guess, anticipating of the series. There's some things that I kind of added it to the list late. Some of them I kept with, some of them I dropped, and we'll get to that later in the video. Right.
Yeah. In general, I liked a lot of the series this season. I think there was a few that we almost missed, but were able to catch, and that turned out really well. We'll get to that. But I think I kind of categorize it in three categories. One is high school battles. The second is like murder, mystery, adult theme. And the other one is just other, because there's a lot of different genres that fit into this category. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, that's about right from what you've set up for the lineup on this video.
Right. But yeah, fall season is good. So let's start with the first category, which is high school battles. The first one is GAKUSEN TOSHI Asterix, or the Asterix Wars. It's done by A1 Pictures, and we talked a little bit about it in our fall preview. It's centered around a high school battle called the Festas, or the Star Warrior Festivals. And there's a certain generation that gets special powers, is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And they're called the Genestella. They can produce certain weapons like swords and guns. The main character is Ayato Amagiri. He's an F-class student who's striving to be, the top, of course. And the second main character is actually the star pupil of the school, named Julius. And this year's tournament is a tag team tournament, and they're kind of forced to work together and battle to become number one. So what do you think about this series?
It pretty much panned out how I thought it would turn out to be. I read a little bit of the comic and a little bit of the light novels, and it pretty much fell in line with what they had covered. Animation was decent for A1. I know those guys could do a little bit better, but for some odd reason or another, they didn't just blow it out of the water with their primary team that they usually have for like some of the higher class title.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of action, a lot of battles. The animation quality is pretty good. It has a lot of pastel colors. It also has a harem element to it, right?
A lot of tropes that you'd expect out of a harem type show, they're basically in there.
Yeah, there's a big boobied one, no booby one, longtime childhood friend?
Childhood friend, older sister character, emotional character.
And younger, yeah. All of it combined into one. Alright, the second series that we're going to talk about for high school battles is TAIMADOU GAKUEN 35 SHIKEN SHOUTAI, or Anti-Magic Academy, the 35th Platoon. This is set in a world where magic powers are being close to being wiped out. Everyone's using more like guns. Magic is being exterminated due to their dangers. And the world is trying to be balancing between magic and guns. Main character is named Takeru, and he goes to an anti-magic academy. But Takeru is a little bit different because he doesn't use guns. He actually uses a regular sword. So he's kind of an outcast. They kind of call him traitor too, doesn't he?
Yeah, they kind of look down upon him due to, I think it's just his use of the sword and just the platoon that he's in. It's not very well regarded by other students, that sort of thing. They don't really cover that there. The show mainly focuses on the 4 or 5 main characters within the show, and most of the interactions between them and kind of the bad guy of the entire series.
Right. I mean, we call it a high school battle, but they don't really show like a school setting per se. They're kind of giving like missions or maybe assignments. They go out and have to get rid of the witches or the warlocks. I mean, the fighting, the animation is pretty good. This is actually done by Silver Link. So most of their production's pretty good, right?
Yeah, on the whole, you'll notice between different companies that with Silver Link or A1 or any of those guys, they'll have a primary team where they'll send a lot of the good animators to, and then you'll have a secondary team where maybe not the top end up there for whatever reason or another. So on this one, the artwork wasn't as good as it could be, but on the whole, it was enjoyable. The cast, the interactions, between the characters were just overall entertaining.
Right, and of course, there's also another harem element to this as well, as expected of these high school kind of battle series. So the next one is Rakudai Kishi no EIYUUTAN Chivalry, or Chivalry of a Failed Knight. This is also done by Silver Link. And I think both of us can agree that this is the better of all the three high school battle type shows of the season.
Oh yeah, definitely. This one had, it's just my opinion, that it had a better storyline, better pacing. Things that I kind of expected did happen, and I think the action sequences were a little bit better over Asterix on this one.
Right, and I think the overall theme was a little bit more serious. There's a lot more things going on in the background, like politically, but a lot more action. I really like the action more. The animation of the action was a lot better than the other two series. But the one thing that stand out for me is how they handled certain anime cliches. Basically, the main character is already hooked up with someone, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the harem type genre, although it still kind of exists, and they're all kind of fighting over each other, even though he has a girlfriend. But the way they did some of the certain cliche scenes is totally different than I've seen in any kind of series. The next is the adult-themed murder mystery type of series. The first one is Subete ga F ni Naru, or The Perfect Insider. The story revolves around a professor named Sohei Saikawa.
Saikawa, yep.
And he's a member of Saikawa Research Lab. He goes on a vacation to an island with one of his students and other students. And one of them is one of his favorite, or one that clings on to him a lot, is named Moe Nishisono. Yep. Nishino-sono. She's the daughter of his mentor, and on this island, they run up with basically a murder mystery. And this is very adult, theme-oriented, and it was very different from any of the other series that we watched. It was pretty good. Animation's pretty good, well thought. There's a lot of mystery to it, and most of it does get solved, although I think we were both a little bit confused of the ending.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. There was, a lot to think about, certain themes about human existence and interaction amongst the species, that sort of thing. And so they kind of addressed that in this particular show, and that's one of the things that I liked about it.
Right. But yeah, the next one on that same genre is Sakurako-san no Ashimoto ni wa SHITAI ga UMATTEIRU, or Beautiful Bones, Sakurako's investigation. It's done by Kadokawa Pictures. There's a high school student named Shotaro who meets a beautiful, pretty eccentric lady named Sakurako. She's infatuated with beautiful bones, mostly animals, but human bones as well. She tries to find and keep the bones that she finds, but she's a genius investigator / CSI. They kind of work together, or they kind of stumble upon murder mysteries, and they work together to find out what happens. I think this is one of the hidden gems that we kind of found after the fact, and we're pretty glad, I think, that we actually found it and able to watch the whole series.
Yeah, this one had kind of a different theme from everything else that was out there. SUBETE had kind of this unknown mystery, and Sakurako basically had mysteries that were presented, but they were maybe 2 to 3 episodes were solved, or maybe in just 1 episode solved. So the pacing was a little bit faster on that, but there was an overall theme that was kind of underlying amongst the psychology of the characters in this particular one.
Right. Okay, so the last category is Other. The first one we're going to talk about is Kido Senshi Gundam, TEKKETSU no Orphans, or Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron-Blooded Orphans, Studios Sunrise. Finally, a very good and interesting Gundam series after a pretty long hiatus.
It's a different timeline from the original Gundam, which was the 1 Year War.
Right. This is 300 years after the Calamity War. A young lady named Cordelia sets off to Earth to try to get for the independence of Mars. And in this universe, there's only 72 Gundams that survived this war. And somehow one of them is owned by a company called CGS. The two main characters, Mikazuki and Orga, work for this company. They're orphans. They're kind of called space rats because they're not really considered human. They're just bought and kind of slaves, although they get kind of paid, stuff like that. But the mission to escort Cordelia gives them an opportunity to kind of rebel and start a coup against this company, and they take it over, and they finally find a mobile suit named Barbatos. It has a special type of older engine. It's powered by an AHAB reactor, and the interface is basically the children or the people have to have surgery and then connected to their backs or the spinal cord. So it's a very old technology, but it has, the Gundam has better reflexes and better speed. And yeah, this is finally a good, gritty, hardcore, no prisoners type of show. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a Gundam like this, and not counting Unicorn because that was an OAB series. I don't think we've seen anything like this since 00 Gundam. So it's been a long time coming. The build fighters were just not made for just the audience of original Gundam or any like action-based thing. Build Fighters was basically a commercial for all intents and purposes from Sunrise to sell product.
Right. Okay, so yeah, it's a very good series. If you really like Gundam, this is one of the ones you need to watch this season. The second show that we're going to talk about is called Heavy Object. It's done by JC Staff. They're a pretty good studio, and they're known for a lot of good stuff. It's a science fiction war type of story. It's based on big, massive, powerful machines called objects and their special pilots. The pilots of this particular object, their name is Melinda, and there's two soldier characters.
The main character is Savia and Quenser.
Right, Quenser is he wants to be a mechanic for the objects, and Hevia is just a typical soldier. And it's a pretty good action-based comedic relief kind of show.
Yeah, this is the sort of banter you hear in the matchmaking lobby of like first-person shooter, just people just talking smack, and various non-on-topic what's called things that they're talking about there. But in the end, it's generally pretty funny, and you're really watching it for the interactions between the two. Kind of smart but kind of stupid characters at the same time, and amongst their peers.
Right, they just get into a lot of trouble, even though they're, considered kind of heroes, but they don't really get rewarded for what they do. And but it's pretty funny, and it's like a David and Goliath story. It's just two guys defeating these big monstrous machines, and but it's very enjoyable. So please check that one out. And finally, the last one that we recommend is One Punch Man. It's done by Madhouse Studios. And it's actually a Jump comic, if you can believe it or not. It revolves around a superhero named Saitama. And he is a reluctant superhero. He kind of does it because he needs a job. He started off as a regular salaryman trying to find a job. And he just couldn't find one, so he just started training and became the most powerful man, and no monster or enemy can defeat him, and he gets kind of bored because he beats everyone with one punch. Thus the title.
Yeah, this one's kind of a superhero satire, where the guy's just ridiculously overpowered, where he just, yeah, as the title indicates, it's not a spoiler, that he can take out pretty much anybody in one punch. And so, one of the things he's dealing with is that he's kind of bored, is because none of these fights really do anything for him. It's just that, yeah, there'll be a fight, and, you know, maybe he gets thrown and embedded into a couple of, like, buildings or something like that, or a cliff face. Basically anything you'd see in a Dragon Ball, an episode of Dragon Ball, but it just does nothing for him, and yeah, the fights pretty much end with one hit.
Right. The original author of the manga, he kind of was messing around, and you know the art style is not really that good. It's kind of half-assed. But another company, another artist really liked the story, and he picked it up, and eventually be picked up by Jump. But you know the Jump formula is
friendship, victory, and hard work.
And this is totally different from that formula, because he's already the most powerful guy in the universe. He doesn't really have any friends except a disciple. And, well, the hard work is there. He did work hard to get that powerful, but you don't really see it through his struggles through life. He just struggles not to get bored every day and to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really talk about this in the last video, but I was watching Soukyu no Fafna. It was basically the other mech show that wasn't covered, and it is the second series to something they had started about 10 years ago. So yeah, that was kind of pretty long history, considering that they brought it back and finished off the story. That is going to be kind of standard fare for a Zebek sort of show, but it doesn't really. If you're expecting the sort of quality, the quality is pretty good in this one, and you know the mech battles are pretty good in this one. So you know it's a standard story, but the action's pretty good. So if you guys are in the dead zone between now and before the winter season starts, it might not be something too bad to watch. Second show that I watched, a little bit different from Al's list, was Utawareru Mono. That one, again, this one is a second season of something that they had started last decade, basically. I would recommend for this one to watch the very first series of this one, so that you can get the background on what's going on. Right. This guy wakes up with amnesia in the middle of the forest, tries to figure out what's going on. It's kind of this rural medieval Japan setting. A little bit of fantasy involved, because not everybody's human in this particular edition of the world, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, where are my memories, and how do I live in this particular world. So I'd recommend going back to the first series, watching that one. It's a little dated, but it is overall entertaining, and the storyline's pretty good on that one. Second season currently, they're going to continue this one. It's a little slow paced. I think they're doing the character setup right now, but I think maybe things will pick up in winter season. We'll see about that one. And then the last show that I was watching Owari no Seraph. This one just ended this weekend, and so this is the main battle in Nagoya, and so I think they're synchronizing this with the manga. I'm not particularly sure about that one, because they were catching up really quickly to it. So, yeah, there isn't too much of the training thing going on like you saw in the first season. There's just a ton of fighting on this one. So, yeah, if you like that sort of thing, kind of apocalypse, a little bit of the supernatural with vampires versus human armies, yeah, that one's not too bad to watch.
Right, and then probably the one thing that I watched that you didn't is HAIKYUU, which is the volleyball sports anime. That continued. This is the second season as well. But, if you like volleyball and you like some of the sports stuff, that you can probably check that one out too. And then our next video is going to be the preview of the winter season. Some of them are continuing from our list that we talked about today. That includes Heavy Object, Gundam, HAIKYUU, and what was it?
Utawareru Mono.
So those are the continuing for the winter season, but we'll elaborate more on the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and check out our recommendations. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.
Have a good one.
I will leave all her links down below in the description box. She has 2 channels, Jenny Silver